All right, and so this is a video, role play video for class, and it is not a real true counseling session. So, Tara, what brings you in today?
Well, I've been suffering with anxiety, and I think I'm just getting really nervous because I have a meeting at work that's coming up, and whenever I get in front of like a crowd of people
Mm-hmm.
and have to speak, I get real nervous and anxious, and I've had it ever since grade school, and that's just kind of what I'm going through right now.
Okay, and so there's something triggering it currently? You have a meeting that's coming up?
Yes,
Okay, and so it's for work, you said?
yes.
Okay, so when, we're gonna write this down. So the work meeting is stressing you out. Do you have a speaking part that you have to do in there?
I do.
Okay, so when you know you have to do the meeting for your work, what can you describe your feelings?
I just start getting real nervous, and my heart starts beating really fast,
Mm-hmm.
and I start getting flushed, and I start thinking to myself, like, am I going to fumble up on my words? And if I do, what is everybody going to think about it? And so that just gives me anxiety thinking about not being perfect in front of everybody while I'm speaking.
Okay, so it sounds like your heart is beating fast, so the anxiousness of being up there, and that's kind of your feelings. You're just feeling very anxious, and then your thoughts are that you feel like you're going to fumble on your words, which that makes you more, would you say, nervous
Yes.
to be up there? And then you're concerned about not being perfect, like failing in maybe failure for
Mm-hmm.
doing the presentation. Okay, and so with the nervous feelings, how would you rate your nervous feelings? Like, one being not as nervous, maybe you're calm and peace, versus 10 being extremely intensely nervous.
I'd probably rate it about a 9.
About a 9? Okay, and then your anxiousness about it?
A 10.
A 10? So now the anxiousness on the 10 rating, not to say, so with the 10 rating, that's almost like it incapacitates you where you can't even do the presentation. Do you feel like it's that extreme? Like, are you still in the past? Are you still able to do your part in the presentation, or
Yes, I
do you
am.
have to? Okay, so do you think it's a 10, or do you think it might be a
Maybe
little
like an 8,
an
7
8?
or 8.
Okay, only because if it's a 10, I would think that you would just not be able to do it at all, and you would just maybe pass it off or tell your boss you weren't able to do it. But that's not the case, right?
Right.
Okay, and then and your thoughts. So in the past, when you've done presentations before, how have they gone before?
They've gone good, but then I'm really nervous at first,
Mm-hmm.
and then um after I'm up there for a little while, it starts getting a little bit better.
Mm-hmm. So would you say like halfway through the presentation it gets better? Like you feel like maybe your heart is not beating as fast?
Yes.
Or does it still beat fast through until you're done and you sit down?
Well, until I'm done and sit down.
Where your part is over.
Yes.
So the whole time that you're doing your presentation, you've got the heart beating fast. What else happens to you? Other than your heart beating fast, is there any other things that happen or?
I start getting real red, and sometimes it makes me lose train of thought because I'm so focused on being so nervous and so anxious that I can't concentrate on what I'm saying.
So you're more focused on yourself versus,
Mm-hmm.
okay. And then you'd also said, well, going with that, so when you're focused on your physical reaction instead of paying attention to what your material is, you kind of lose your train of thought. So how could we focus that attention somewhere else where maybe we're not focusing on how you're well, actually take that back. Let's So when you're feeling stressed like that, have you ever thought about stopping and taking a breath?
I have before, Yes.
You have?
Mhm.
Okay, so where it's like if you're doing your presentation, will you just stop for a minute, get a hold of your, not get a hold of yourself, but it's like you breathe, take 5 seconds, like inhale, exhale, and then go on with your presentation. Has that helped, or have you not really practiced that
I
technique?
don't think I've really practiced that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've always been so focused on just being so anxious about having to get up there in front of people.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I do feel like if I did a technique like that, that it probably would help if I just took a minute and took a couple deep breaths and thought about it, then it probably would help out a lot.
Mm-hmm. Because you said you've been anxious before about different things. Have you ever tried a breathing technique like that just to kind of center you back into focus where you're at instead of focusing on the situation of things, all the things that possibly could go wrong, instead of just taking a breath and just, is there something that you could do that, let me think, hold on. So you were talking about the being like a perfectionist and fumbling with your words. So what would you say the worst case scenario with your presentation would be?
As if I just completely fumbled all of my words and didn't say what I needed to say in the meeting.
Okay. And so that worst case scenario, what do you think would happen after that? What's the next thing that could happen after that?
That everybody would be like, she can't.
So you'd be concerned with what they're thinking
Yes.
about you at that time,
Yes.
which would make you feel like, what would be your feelings after that?
I would feel like I wasn't good of a person because I can't get up in front of people and speak whenever I need to get up in front of people and speak.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you, when you do your presentation, because for your job, I'm sure you prepare for it, you know what to say. So do you practice it before you do your presentation?
No, not always.
Not always. Do you think that would be beneficial for you?
Yes, I do think that would be beneficial for me.
Okay, so if we practice before presentation? Because do you feel comfortable presenting the information? Is it something that you already are familiar with?
Yes.
Okay, so it's not something that's like really hard to explain, like you know it really well, but you're having to communicate it to the others, right? And then the breathing technique, the just taking a moment. Have you ever tried the breathing technique?
No.
Do you want to practice that just to kind of get an idea of how that goes? Okay, so if you're presenting to your group and you've already practiced, like we said, we're going to practice before you do your presentation, then when you're up there and you're looking at everybody, and what is your thought when you look at everybody and they're looking at you?
I start getting real anxious and start panicking.
Okay, and you're like the most important person because you're the speaker, so you're the only one that they're focused on right now. And so that one-on-one attention where they're looking at you, it makes you anxious. Your heart starts to beat, right?
Yes.
So when you're looking at them, you're going to take a moment before you even say anything to them, and you're just going to inhale. So you're going to go, and then let it out. And then as you're letting the deep air out, like it's a deep breath, it just calms you down. And so if you need another one, you do it again, and then you let it out again. And then just look at the crowd. And I know they're still going to make you nervous, but you know, you're confident that you know your material, so you're about to present it to them. And so, and if you get to a part in in your presentation, take that moment again. Because with presenting, you have that power. They know that you know your stuff. And so if you, instead of thinking that they're going to look at you in a way that you don't know your stuff, you know it, they're just wanting to learn from you. It's not that they're judging you, they're just waiting to hear what you have to say because you have some important information to give to them. All right. So some things that I want you to work on before the next one, because when is your meeting that you have to do?
It's going to be...
Did you say a couple weeks, I think?
Yes.
Okay, so in 2 weeks. So after, I think we'll have another appointment then. I want you to tell me how that goes. So you're going to practice your presentation. You're going to get the information and practice it before you go. How many times do you think you should practice your your presentation?
At least 5 or 6 times.
5 or 6 times. And do you think it would be good to do it in front of like a group of friends? I'm not saying a lot of people, but just anybody. Instead of doing it by yourself, just having some people just listen to it, maybe?
Yes.
Okay. So do it in front of a small group of people. If you want to, before you feel comfortable doing that, because I know it makes you nervous to do it in front of friends too, but try doing maybe by yourself in the mirror,
Mm-hmm.
and then do that with your friends. And then the other, so when you get ready to do your presentation, just be calm. Because the worst case scenario is that you're going to fumble it, but you're going to pause and take a moment because you're not going to fumble it. You've practiced it. You're ready to go. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.